This is my girl Ellie, my children's python, and I've had her now for several years, and she has been absolutely an amazing snake that I've had since I actually got her from a friend of mine several years ago. And she can be a bit cantankerous at first, but once I take her out of her cage, she's just a puppy dog. But also today, she's due to have her meal, so let's go ahead, give herself a good, delicious mouse. And here she comes, everybody. She's coming out to play with me today. Oh. Alright, girl, you hungry? Oh! Okay. Aren't you hungry? Aren't you hungry? Come and get it, girl. Ah, yes! That is what I wanted. That is exactly what I was hoping for to happen, everybody. She at first gave it like a little defense strike at me there, obviously because she at first felt threatened, and she really at first didn't want anything to do with it. But I think after she actually had a bite on it for a split moment, I think she figured out that it was actually a meal. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and just leave her be. But you guys are probably wondering, well, what does Ellie have to do with today's video? Well, I'm gonna share with you guys a story that just recently happened in the state of Florida at a facility, a snake facility, where it was just recently raided by FWC, the Florida Wildlife Committee, I guess you could say. And it is a pretty disturbing story to read. So I'm going to share it with you guys here in a moment. But before we do that, you guys, can you do me a huge favor, you guys? Feel free to smash that subscribe button for me if you guys want to do that. And turn on that notification bell. So let's just go ahead and just jump into today's video, because I don't want to keep you guys waiting. So apparently, a week ago, a reptile facility down somewhere in Florida, I'm not exactly sure where, but the facility was unexpectedly raided by FWC wildlife officers. And apparently these officers, I think there was like at least 4 or 5 officers that raided into this facility unannounced. The owner of the facility, I'm going to keep his name private, you guys, because obviously I don't know how he would feel if I mentioned his name on this video, but if he does, it's okay. Let me know what you guys think. So with that, pushing that aside, the owner of this facility was not very pleased to see these guys show up unannounced, because he actually had a total of 34 snakes inside this facility at the time. And all 34 of those snakes, you guys, 29 of those were 29 of them were reticulated pythons, 4 or 5 of them were Burmese pythons, and 1 was a gravid common boa. Now, this guy that owns the facility, he has had these snakes for several years, and he actually had special permits that he got from the state, from FWC, before the snakes were officially banned from being sold in the pet trade in 2021. When a law passed just recently, the owner of the facility was actually trying to rehome many of these snakes that he had, because unfortunately he was not allowed to keep them anymore. And bill passed, it was like maybe a year or 2 ago, I'm not exactly sure where and when, I don't remember. He unfortunately could not find a place to rehome all the exact snakes he had. He still had several more that he needed to rehome, so he actually did give a phone call to FWC to let them know that he still has a few snakes left, but to FWC if he could have a little more time. Now, I'm not exactly sure if they did give him that extra time or not, but just this past Thursday, just last week, his facility got ambushed by FWC, I guess you could say. The worst part about this story is that all of those 34 snakes that he had left, again, some of them he still kept with special state permits. Some of the FWC just slaughtered all 34 of those snakes that he had. And he actually has had several of these snakes since he hatched them out as babies like 10, 12 years ago. And the fact that this literally just happened, it's really sickening. Go to the US ARC's official Facebook page, you guys, they do have an article about the whole story. And just to seeing one of the photos, I think it's the very last picture, you can actually see one of the wildlife officers, looks like he's smiling. It literally looks like he's smiling, kind of like as if he's enjoying this. I mean, FWC, I don't know what to say about these guys. These guys are conservation officers. They should know better than this. I mean, literally, they are trained, I get, to remove illegal animals, but to slaughter them like that inside the facility like that, I can't see why they should do that. And here's my biggest question that I need to know. Did FWC have a warrant to search the premises? Because when I read the article, there was nothing on this article about mentioning a warrant. They did not provide one, which I thought that was I feel like that's a bit strange. Because if they were inside the facility, they should have a requirement to have a search warrant to search his property. And the fact that they just showed up unannounced like that, kind of like the FBI or something, it kind of sickens my stomach that this happened. Now imagine this happened to me unexpectedly with our fishing wildlife here in Michigan. Not only would I be freaked out about it, but I think I'd be boiling red hot pissed off right now. Because they just showed up uninvited, and B, they don't have a search warrant. It just doesn't make sense. But the fact that these officers literally slaughtered all these snakes, it really disgusts me. It really does. I don't know how to explain this even further, everyone, because literally there was a video clip I just saw too, just not too long ago, of this guy, the owner, as a couple of the officers are removing one of the snakes out of the enclosures. You can hear the owner in the background saying something like, "You're literally killing something that I've raised since it was a baby, since I hatched it as a baby." And the fact that he said that, he's literally raised that thing since it hatched, and the officer suddenly just, butchers it, or just nail guns it. I don't know. They don't exactly show how they do it, which I'm kind of glad they don't. But the fact that they did this right in front of this gentleman that has taken care of these things for a long time, it really, this really hurts my heart, I'm not gonna lie to you. The fact that this happened, it's just disgusting, everybody. I don't know how else to put this, but the good news is, though, is that US ARC has posted the article about this, saying that we need to have a word with the Florida governor to have them have these FWC officers be held accountable for this, because obviously what they did was not the right choice. It was not optional. So with that being said, let me know what your opinions are in the comments down below, because this is just, I don't know how else to explain it, everybody, because I'm a reptile lover, and I own several of these snakes, you guys. I even have Ellie, like I said, my children's python. If something happened to her, something like that, somebody did that to that human being, I ever did that to her, I could never forgive them. I could not forgive them. Because I've raised Ellie since she was just a little baby. I hope you guys understand this. This is something that even conservation officers are not usually trained to do something like this, especially in a innocent facility that does not sell snakes illegally. They don't. This person never sells them illegally at all. If you guys want to express your thoughts in the comments down below, I'm not going to stop you. So with that being said, I hope you guys at least show some support and sympathy to the owner of this facility, please. So I don't know if you guys recall me mentioning earlier in the video that he actually, not only did he have multiple species of different pythons, like 29 retics, 5 Burmese pythons, but he also had a gravid common boa as well in his building. Now, believe it or not, though, the one thing I don't understand is, for these FWC officers, is that why would they slaughter a pregnant common boa? Because when I actually found out too, is that in the state of Florida, it is legal to own boas. You can keep a boa in the state of Florida because they're a very popular pet snake. Now, for them to slaughter a snake species that's perfectly legal to keep in the Sunshine State, it doesn't make much sense. But apparently, I guess from what we found out online, is that these officers misidentified it as a python. Now, again, these guys are wildlife officers, trained wildlife officers, and they are trained to identify what type of reptile they're dealing with. And the fact that they misidentified this boa as a type of python, you have got to have poor eyesight for that. Seriously, like, how can you misidentify a python to a common boa? Because literally, I get it. To the untrained eye, they may look similar, but the thing is, though, is that boas, I'm surprised they didn't even look up the regulations themselves on what reptiles are legal to own in Florida, especially. So with that being said, these officers, I think they really got to be retrained here, everybody. I'm sorry to say it, but this is just not right. And a lot of people in Florida that keep reptiles, they are going to be voicing their thoughts about this incident too. And I don't blame them at all. because this is just not right. It's just not acceptable. No matter the outcome of this event that just unfolded, everybody, for those of you guys that have any kind of pet that you've loved for several years, that you've grown it and raised it since it was just a baby, it really can have a huge pain index inside your body, because I mean, these animals, a majority of these animals that this owner raised, he raised them since they were babies. And of course, I get that some of these snakes are illegal to own in Florida, but this guy also, at the same time, before the prohibited species event happened in 2021, he did try to get special permits from the state, and I don't know if he was granted for it or not. I don't know, if I might have to double check my research. But this is just something that should not have happened. Slaughtering these snakes like that right in front of him in his own facility, it's just very, very disturbing, honestly. And the fact that these officers also really messed up big time about misidentifying this boa, it really is going to have some serious consequences of their actions here in the future. And apparently, I'm going to go ahead and also leave the link to the description, you guys, to US ARC's website, and maybe you guys can find the article read more about this story. Because right now, there's only limited information, but I'm still learning as I go along with this. So regardless, though, this should never have happened. These officers should have known better, and these guys have been trained to handle these animals respectfully. And the fact that they just raided this guy's facility, decided to go ahead and nail gun all of these snakes here in his facility, is just a disgusting act. And this is really a really bad taste into the reptile world. They are giving a bad taste to it. And I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of reptile people out there that are going to take action on this. So with that being said, you guys, if you guys do want to take action, I'm going to leave the link to US ARC's website in the description. And you guys can go ahead and actually feel free to send an email to the Florida governor, but make sure it's polite and respectful, because we don't obviously want to turn the situation into something like a war or anything like that. So regardless, feel free to guys do that. But with that being said, I'm just gonna go ahead and wrap this vlog up here for the day. Make sure you guys like and subscribe for me if you guys can do that as well, and turn on that notification bell so you guys can stay notified for every video that I post every Monday and Wednesday. So with that being said, folks, I'll catch you guys in the next one.